On this week's weekly video fishing forecast, I jump on the skimmer with Captain Lorenzetti and got the lowdown on targeting blowfish. Fred has intel on the surf front, and correspondents from around the island have their take on this week's fishing, all here on the weekly video fishing forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
We're well into August, and some may refer to this time of the year as the summer doldrums. I don't think I can agree with that based on the reports I've been hearing recently. Let's see if the weather is going to hold up for the days to come. News 12 meteorologist Rich von Ohlen has this outlook for the weekend. Rich?
Hey, thanks, Matt. Hey, everyone. Let's check the weekend forecast and see what we got going on. Of course, you can always check out your favorite websites, favorite apps, weather tools as we get closer to the weekend. This is a general heads up, general overview on the weekend weather. Starting out water temps, we got some 70s now. It came up a little bit with a hot week that we just had. And it looks like the wave heights on Saturday in the ocean are going to be okay. 2 to 4, northwest breeze, light for the most part. The offshore looks okay too. Into Sunday, it looks like a little more of a roll coming in, 4 to 8. A few 8 to 12s east and south of Block Island, but models kind of hinting that it's not going to be that bad. More of a northeast chop inshore, but it's not going to be terrible. Futurecast on Saturday, it's a front coming through, so there could be a little bit of a push early, but it looks like the winds aren't too bad overall throughout the midday afternoon. Light 5 to 10, 5 to 15. A little bit of a gust early Sunday morning, and maybe a chop, to the east, especially northeast, and then it kind of settles for the afternoon. A general north wind. I think the weekend overall, though, looks pretty decent in the Sound and the ocean. High tides early morning on the North Shore, South Shore for about midday. There's your high temperatures, 80s, still a little humid on Saturday, but then more comfortable. We lose that heat on Sunday. Looks pretty good. Check the Guru quickly, see what we got going on, and there's Saturday. And again, general west-northwest. This looks decent. Light wave action, not too bad. Here's Sunday. Again, late Saturday evening, Saturday night, there's a little pop there where it gets a little bit breezy at times, maybe a good chop there, but then looks like it wants to settle down in the afternoon, and overall, I think it's going to be another decent August weekend for some fishing. Anyway, be safe, catch them up, have a wonderful weekend. Matt, back to you.
The blowfish are here, and this is a great time of year to get the kids out into fishing. This type of fishing can be done from either a dock or the boat. You've seen Captain Lorenzetti every week on the weekly video fishing forecast. Today he's going to show us a great way to get kids involved with fishing, and that's going for blowfish.
Okay, we're on the boat, we're going blowfishing. What do you need to go blowfishing? Well, obviously you need a couple of rods, and I like the low profile style rod, low profile bait caster. You need a couple of hooks. I use small flounder hooks or little porgy hooks, probably like size 8s. And then you're going to need some weight, not much. In the conditions we're fishing, you only need about an ounce, maybe 2 at most. And you need to have chum, ground up clam chum. They sell it in the tackle stores in like 1-quart cylinders. You need a chum pot to put it in, and a little line on the chum pot to drop it to the bottom. And then you need clams to cut up for bait, and a cutting board and a knife, and that basically covers it. That's all you need. Oh, there we go, the first keeper. Nice. What they're famous for. Sometimes they're a little bit too small, and this one's going to go back. Well, anyway, I've been fishing the Great South Bay, the waters around Fire Island Inlet for 40 years as a charter captain. And I cater to a lot of people from Fire Island who are out on vacation. Of course, local people as well. So if you're interested in doing a fishing charter with me, whether it be Fire Island, the Western communities, I can pick you up at one of the Western communities on Fire Island. Or we can actually leave from my dock in Babylon Village. So give me a shout. You can check my website, skimmeroutdoors.com. You can contact me through the website. You can email me. And so if you want to do it, give me a shout.
Sometimes one of the things about going for blowfish is you have to weed through the smaller fish to get some bigger fish. Sometimes you can't even feel the bites, but also what we're doing here is we're using slightly larger hooks to weed out these small fish and just target the bigger fish that would make a better meal, if you will.
So you want to go blowfishing, where do you go? Basically, I stick close to the shoreline. In shallow water, they inhabit areas without too much current running. So coves, shoreline is best, anywhere from 8 to 10 feet of water, even less sometimes. And basically you get set up and drop the anchor so you're stationary, you can't drift, you want to be stationary. And the chum, set your chum down, that's going to run in the current, and hopefully some fish happen to be in the neighborhood, they'll follow the chum, get up to the hooks, and you can catch them and have a great time. Also with blowfish, a lot of times there's kingfish around as well as a bycatch.
So what's the fishing looking like for this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, Matt, you know, it's got its times around here. Yesterday I was on a charter, had an 8-pound fluke on the Fire Island Reef, had some nice keeper sea bass, so obviously the ocean is doing pretty well, pretty much on structure though, around the reef, the Hempstead Reef, Fire Island Reef. Some fish are caught on open bottom, but it's primarily around structure. It was crazy, there were actually bluefin tuna just off to the east of the reef yesterday. They were busting water. There's still a couple of cobia caught off of Jones Inlet. So inshore fishing for fluke, it's a pick. A lot of shorts, occasionally a keeper. I'd say 1 in 20 fish is a keeper. So that's a little bit tough. Actually, there's still a couple of weak fish being caught by Ocean Beach as well. So it's kind of like a mixed bag going on. And I'm just hoping the weather holds, we don't get any major storms, and that's about it, you know? All right, well, Matt, we caught some blowfish, and that's basically all you got to do. The basics we covered today. And the last thing to do, we're going to shoot back and show you how to clean one up.
Cool, that was fun, Al. Thank you.
You got it. And here's the big tip. When you're ready to leave and pull your anchor, don't take off until you pull your chum pot in. It could be a disaster. This is the way I clean my blowfish. You can see, number one, you definitely want to have gloves because their skin is like sandpaper. It's going to rip your hands apart. I make a cut behind the head. Don't go all the way through. And then you're turning the fish inside out. And then all you have to do is trim these little finlets off. And before I cook it, I get a scissors and I cut these fins off. And then bread it and fry it.
Now let's check in with senior editor Fred Golofaro. Fred?
Hey Matt, hey, I don't know about you, but I'm already looking forward to the fall, looking forward to September, which isn't going over very well with my wife, who has to go back to school the end of the month. But I just can't wait until access becomes less restricted, the beach crowds are gone, and cooler temperatures have the bass and blues fitting more aggressively than they are now in this heat. For now, your best bet to find some actions really is still the inlets, all the inlets along the South Shore and out to the South Fork. Still holding some fish. There's mixed-sized blues, anywhere from 1 to 2 pounds up into the teens. Not real consistent and not a ton of them, but they are there. And there's some bass being picked. Again, mostly schoolies, but occasionally up to 20 pounds. Still worth making some effort. The North Fork continues to produce a pick of nice bass from the teens up to the 30-pound class, and as recently as Tuesday there were big blues along some stretches of the North Fork, so there is some life up there. That's been pretty much dawn and dusk with top waters. A lot of fun, and even if you just raise a few fish on the top waters, that makes it worthwhile too. I did have some action over on the backside of Demo with bass and blues earlier this week, so that area's been very consistent all spring, all summer, showing life there. A lot of very small bait, like white bait along there, so doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Montauk, still some blues on the north side. Bass fishing's, I'd call it a slow pick. There are some fish at night on the north and south sides. Maybe now we're on the downside of that new moon, maybe things will pick up a bit there. And if you're just looking to bend the rod, plenty of sharks taking chunk baits, targeting bass and blues, and that's from the Rockaways all the way out to Montauk. Everyone you talk to is seeing and talking sharks. On the access front, we're pretty much back to normal. We got Smith Point now open to cut 2, and from there you can take Burma Road and access the inlet, and there's been some bass and blues in Murch's Inlet. Shinnecock is fully open, and Demo is open to the jetty, and hopefully that bar gets opened up once everything's cleared up with the plovers. It's built up pretty good. There should be enough room to drive on there, and we did have word from Parks that they are intending to open that up, providing there's no real storm damage and no major erosion in the coming weeks. And if you're just looking to do some relaxing fishing, there's snappers at most of the docks now around the island, and they're getting bigger every day. There's also some kingfish and blowfish mixed in. So if you want to catch them, some squid, worms, or clam baits down on the bottom, great fishing if you want to take the kids out for a couple of hours just to do something, or if you just don't want to go through a lot of hassle getting to the beach, just want to stay local and do a quick trip. A lot of fun. Matt, back to you.
3, 2, 1. Now let's check in with Captain Timothy O'Rourke from Montauk. Tim?
Thank you, Matt. Greetings, everybody, from Montauk. Another spectacular week of fishing out here. The inshore bite is still going along consistently. Picking away at a lot of fluke and sea bass. Nice little trip over at Block Island. Plenty of big sea bass over there. Have some nice pictures of them and some fluke. In regards to the head boats, Jamie on the Miss Montauk, he was banging away at some big fluke this week. I think he had one trip with a over 10 pounder and an 8.5. I believe both customers, those were their personal best. In regards to striped bass fishing locally, things have moved off a little bit more to the east, and you really got to work to get those bigger fish. But on a good note, plenty of light tackle and fly fishing bass in the just under slot range or small slot range. Getting some nice schools of fish popping up on the surface on the right tide and at the right time of day, which is really looking good for the fall. The big news is definitely the offshore bite is still going strong. All these guys going out to the edge are really doing well. Little Steven had another banter trip. He did another 2-day overnight trip. Plenty of yellowfin tuna, a lot of big mahi, and he did well with 3 swords on a night drop again. Tommy Cusimano on the Sea Wife, he was out general area similar to Steven, and he banged out a really nice big eye. He was the only one that I know of that scored a big eye on an overnight trip last week. Plenty of yellowfin and some mahi for Tom as well. Another boat I talked to, they did really good on yellowfin, up to 70, 80 pounds. A couple drifts out on the edge. They tried to do an inshore closer trip without having to go to the canyon, and it wasn't that productive, so they made the extra push and pushed out to the canyon and did good on some yellowfins. In regards to upcoming events, I have my Montauk Sage Fly Fish Demo Day. This is called Castoberfest. This will be October 3rd at the Montauk Lake Club. This will be a barbecue and beer provided by Montauk Brewing. We'll be doing an on-lawn demo of all the current Sage rods and reel fly lines. We'll be raffling off a bunch of prizes, including a full setup from Sage. That's a rod, reel, and line from Rio Products. We have a few tackle shops involved, and Van Stahl Reels will be there, Grundon's Foul Weather Gear. We got a lot going on that day, so don't forget. That is Sunday, October 3rd. I'll give you more information as it gets closer. All right, Matt, back to you. Everybody get out this weekend and have a good time.
From Sag Harbor, we have the East End Anglers.
All right, thanks, Matt. So a little bit inshore around Sag Harbor. It's kind of we said last week. Bites slow down as the water's been warming, so most of the fish have moved further east towards Gardiner's Island and Montauk. But we still have some porgies around for that good ceviche meat for dinner, so not a problem there. And we've also seen, as the waters have been warming, some more kind of temperate fish coming up, like cobia and triggerfish. So those are a lot of fun too. And if you can get a cobia, it's a great rare catch, and we're seeing them more and more now. So. And awesome. now to Will for the offshore.
Yeah, so in terms of the offshore and sharking, we've seen a lot of sharks along our local beaches, and also kind of chasing those bunker pods, threshers, brown sharks, sand sharks, etc. And offshore, we've seen most of the good fishing kind of continue to push further east, with Atlantis being really hot, and that bite south of Block has still been pretty hot on both the troll and jig. So go get it while it's hot, guys, and tight lines. Thanks, Matt. Now back to you.
From Shinnecock, let's check with Mike Dean. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Hey, everyone. Had to move studio space due to an unruly cricket in the garage. But summer fishing's going pretty good here. Off the beach, it's kind of that time of year. Really can't go wrong with a clam belly on a circle hook and throw it out there and see what wants to bite. A lot of big rays around. Heard some pretty good catches of those. Some bass, nothing really big. Fluke, sea robins, the usual. In terms of casting off the beach, I've been using small bucktails, trying to imitate the mole crab, sand flea, whatever you want to call them, that they seem to be feeding on. A couple of blues are around. The bay's got some blues as well. The kind of like marsh bite has not come together like last year. Was hoping once the new moon, a couple of days back, last weekend rather, would kind of get things going. Haven't really seen any kind of change, but there are some fish there. It's so definitely worth trying that. But the big story really is the sharks. Number of people I know that have been casting at first light for some bass, have found some bass, but have also seen some sharks blitzing really close in, which is pretty cool. A friend of mine, West Hampton, said that he's almost positive there's some hammerheads that were going after bunker, as well as all around the bunker pods. Joe Leggio said, a week or two ago, snag a bunker, work the pods, and you're going to get something. We haven't seen any cobia out here, at least from what I've heard, but a lot of sharks, which, has made, pretty cool for those people that have gotten into them. Quick ride from the dock. Lots of life out there with the whales and porpoises. Even that giant bluefin tuna seems to still be hanging around, and seems to be more boats around Southampton and Bridgehampton trying to get them. Sea bass and fluke continues to be pretty strong on the reef and out in 70, 80 feet of water. Fished out in Montauk over the weekend, got a couple of keepers and a couple of really nice sea bass. Had the local Little League trip on the Montauk Star last night, and everyone caught huge porgies. Like, really, I haven't seen porgies that size in a long time. Some sea bass, couple of keeper fluke. We were on the Montauk Star, Captain Mark Reichman, which was very cool of him to take all the families out. So that's definitely a good bet out there, like I'm sure Tim O'Rourke has told you. And, around here, it's just, even though the surf casting bite might be a little bit slow, jump on one of the party boats, either Shinnecock Star, Hampton Lady, jump on a friend's boat. There's a lot of life. You're going to catch something. So enjoy this weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Back to you, Matt.
Let's get an update on the Dreamboat Contest with Tim C. Smith.
The standings remain the same in the Dreamboat Contest. The Dreamboat Fish of the Month winner for July was Rashawn Williams of Brooklyn with his 12.43 pound fluke. Rashawn wins an accurate reel and a fish mount from Global Fish Mounts. Congratulations, Rashawn. The August Fish of the Month species is Mahi Mahi and is currently held by Henry Piacentino with this 22 pounder. Will he hold the lead through August? Let's see. There's lots of time for Mahi Mahi to be weighed in. Other notable entries was this fluke that was weighed in by Vito Acacabasio. This weighed in at 11.8 pounds and was weighed in at Great Kills Bait and Tackle. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is a Fisherman subscriber-only season-long multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a 25-foot Steigercraft center console powered by a 300-horsepower Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Subscribe now to the Fisherman magazine to be part of the action.
With our Fly in Freshwater report, we have Paul McCain from River Bay Outfitters.
Hello, Matt. Well, it was another great trip up on the Farmington. Not easy fishing. In fact, most people only had one, maybe not even any. I mean, I didn't have any. But my beautiful wife, she did pretty good. She had one fish that was so easy, 15 inches. A bunch of smaller ones in the 10-inch range. But it was a terrific night. And when I said, "Hey, what are you using?" She said, "A big white fuzzy thing." That's all she said. So all day long, all night long, all I kept hearing was tight lines and fish on, and I didn't have much luck. But everybody had a great time. It was pretty exciting at night because the bears started coming in. It was the night of the bears running around. All those people that left their coolers out, they were dragged down the street. It was pretty exciting. In fact, I left a small bag of garbage, and I had a bear eating out of my garbage 5 feet from my trailer. But it was good. They ran off. It was no problem. Now, as far as the fishery reports go, saltwater is still holding up. I'm hearing of people that are going out fishing for bluefish, doing very well in the bluefish and even the back bays. There is fluke offshore. A lot of people are going out on the party boats, or they're going out on their own boats to the Collaras and Hempstead Reefs, and they're limiting out. As far as Montauk goes, bluefish, early morning bass. Captain Tim O'Rourke has been doing well. Everybody I know that's been out there has had a great time. It is the summer doldrums. The good news is every river is dropping. Hopefully, I'll be able to get up to the Housatonic and do some smallmouth bass fishing before the end of the summer. So, until next time, Matt, that was your cue, hon.
Who's got the tight lines?
From Northport, we have Mark McGowan from Cal Harbor Bait and Tackle.
Hey, if it wasn't for the weather, it would be all like sunshine and unicorns. The fishing's great. It's really, really fun to get out there. Off the docks, off the boat, off the surf, there's so much variety. I mean, you've got everything in there. Do we have to say them all? Sure, because it's the report. Snappers, fluke, weakfish, bluefish, striped bass, stingrays, sharks, sea robins, sea bass, you name it. Can you add a few? It's all out there. North Shore is like red hot. The bites picking up along the beach. We're seeing a little bit of those like 4 to 6 pound bluefish showing up, but the larger ones are still sticking out by the shipping channel, and they're like angry, you know. They're angry. Love getting on these bluefish. Go out there, have some fun, watch the weather. When you get a break in, it's almost like one of those things. If you're a boat guy, you see a break in the weather, go out there. It's a lot of clouds. It looks like times like it's gonna totally downpour or something, and it ends up not. So crazy. This weather reminds me a lot of like Florida. So weather patterns are definitely changing. We're in those hot August months, so make sure you stay like well hydrated. Go out with a friend, keep your eye on the weather, and just have a great time. Until next week, I bid you peace and tight lines.
Dave Anderson of the New England Fisherman has an update on the Coastal Kayak Clash. Dave?
This week in the Coastal Kayak Clash, we saw a lot of entries and a big shakeup at the top of the leaderboard. You may remember that we have been locked in a three-way tie for a few weeks now. Well, that tie has been unbroken, sort of. Bob Stuber came out of left field to take over the first place spot by logging the top entries for sea robin and weakfish this week, giving him 6 points and locking him into a tie with Justin Oser for the lead, only hanging on to the top spot because his largest fish is larger than Oser's largest fish. In the process, Gary Innes' score was reduced to 4, knocking him out of contention for now. Bob Wagner's score was also reduced to 4, but he hangs on to third place by the inches afforded by his 36-inch bluefish. Albert Green has also entered the mix, logging a first-place blackfish and a third-place sea bass, giving him 4 points and putting him well within striking distance of the top spot. There's still a lot of time left in the tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a ball game.
From Oceanside, we have Captain Joey Leggio.
Hey Matt, what's going on, brother? How are you? All right, so before I get into the reports, I just want to send a huge congratulations out to my friend Carolyn. Carolyn fished the Babes and Bucks hosted tournament aboard the Hampton Lady. It was a fluke tournament with the guys versus the women, and the woman won. The woman actually kicked some butt, is from what I'm hearing. But anyhow, congratulations to Carolyn. She did catch the biggest fish of the day, which came in at an 11.5 pound fluke. Won the pool, took home the bacon, and honestly, so proud of you. Carolyn, awesome job, and a great comeback from last week's fish that you had, so awesome job. Okay, now on to the reports. I'm going to start with the cobia. As I said in last week's report that the water's cooling down, so those cobia might be a little scarce. Well, look at that. 2 more were caught this week that I know of. One of the cobias I'd like to mention, Steve Fernandez had one when he was out tuna fishing. He had one weighed in at 50.5 pounds. That's a real nice cobia, Steve. Congratulations on that one. And following a couple days later, we had Rob and Joe DeZito. They caught one off of Jones Inlet that came in at 48 pounds. So nice job, guys, to catch those cobia. So hey, there's still some around. Get out there if you can, okay? Excuse me. On to the reefs. The reef action's fantastic. There's plenty of life. I had out my buddy and Nassau County's finest, Dave. We went hit the reef, and we connected with fluke. We connected with sea bass. We had beautiful porgies. And the sea bass actually a nice size too. We had them up to 3.5 pounds, some beautiful sea bass, plenty of action. And then we had another piece, and we had some beautiful triggerfish. And anyone, like I said before, if you catch those triggerfish, do not throw them back. They are absolutely delicious to eat, great firm meat. So it was a good trip. While I was out there, my buddy Matt was out there, Matt Roth of the Beast. Him and George were out there fluking. They were fishing tight to the structure, and the boys had some nice fluke to 6 3/4 pounds. So the action's there on those reefs. Also been hearing some action down on the Hempstead Reef. Not so much this week on the Rockaway Reef. I don't know what, really not many reports came in for the Rockaway Reef, but the ones I do know, McAllister, Hempstead, and AB is decent. What else do I got to talk about? The beach. Chris was out there with Bobby. They were out trying to target some of these spinners and black tips on the beach, and they connected with a bunch of sharks. Chris told me he had a great night last night. And they had a black tip shark, not black tip, they had spinners. Actually, in this photo, leave in the comments if you know what this is. I personally think it's a spinner. Some people say it's a black tip, but in my experience, I feel like the black tips have the black on the dorsal as well. This fish doesn't have any black on the dorsal. It leads me to believe it's a spinner shark. But, put a comment in, see what you think it is. But Chris was saying that they had some sand tigers safely released, and they had that one nice, beautiful spinner shark. But that's basically my report for this week. Like I said, the life is still there. There's definitely no summer doldrums here. There's plenty of fish to be caught out there. But good luck, guys. Get out there. Get those kids out there fishing. And I'll talk to you soon. So back to you, Matt.
Let's check in with Chris Ludwig. Chris?
Hey, thanks, Matt. What's going on, guys? So I'm going to be covering the last 2 weeks here, starting up out in Roscoe, New York. I was camping on the Beaverkill River, and I had a couple really good days of brown trout fishing. Probably about 10 to 12 total, and maybe 12 inches max. I was using trout magnets and really small pieces of earthworm, just twitching these things through the current while sight fishing them, watching them come up out of their stage and smack it, so that was pretty cool. Moving forward, at home, the shark fishing has been crazy. Yes, I say shark fishing on purpose, because we were trying to get on some of these big spinners, which we did. I got my PB spinner shark the other night. That was really fun on a mackerel head. My buddy Bobby was with me. He was fishing bluefish chunks, and we did get some bycatch of sand tigers. They seemed to have flooded the beach in some sort of pre-storm bite. But reporting from other anglers as well, there's been a lot of spinner sharks around, supposedly some other species. I'm not going to get into that. But the fishing is wild out there. I hope you all been on it. And take care. Back to you, Matt.
Captain Mike Century has the latest from Staten Island.
Thanks, Tim, Fred, Matt. Hope all is well. Well, guys, had a few trips this morning. And between the tuna and the fluke on my charter, Anglers of Legend Sportfish, I had to say, the amount of 18-inch fluke is incredible. It seems like the fluke know exactly where to be 18 inches, which is in New York waters, and 17 and a half or 17 and 3/4 in Jersey waters. Nonetheless, the crew put us smack down on the fluke. Had Isaiah from Texas with his family on board. Let me tell you something, this kid, for a new guy that doesn't know how to fish at all, literally high hook award, one after another. Couldn't believe it. The guy got definitely a good knack for fluke, and I told him that this is beginner's luck, so don't get used to it. On the tuna grounds, well, fortunately, I have another heartbreak to report. Went out on Sunday, I believe it was Sunday or Monday, one of these 2 days. Had an over, bluefin, of course, making an appearance a few feet away from the boat, while the crew was jigging extensively hard, up and down, vertically, side, power, slow, you name it. They were jigging everywhere. This tuna would not want to jig. So I ended up throwing out a fresh cut mackerel on a balloon, and within a few minutes, the drag was peeling, rod was bending, and the fight was on. I underestimated the size of this bluefin, and unfortunately an hour and 8 minutes passed by. The crew put an effortless time into it. I mean, it was constant chasing the tuna around with the boat, going in circles, going everywhere, east to west, north to south. I knew it was going to be a heartbreak. 40-pound fluorocarbon leader unfortunately gave out. The hook was pretty close to the side of the jaw, and the teeth of the tuna unfortunately made good work of that leader. So that was a break off, and from there on it was nothing but sharks. So we wrapped up the day with some good action. Everybody fought the sharks and had a good time. And nonetheless, it was a great day, plenty of action, and between the sharks and the bluefins, gonna make it out hopefully this weekend again. Hey, and if you guys need our charter captain out there, feel free to follow me on Facebook, Anglers of Legend Sportfish. We'll love to have you on board. You will now find another captain that's gonna work as hard as I do. So back to you, man.
Remember to like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tap on the bell to be notified instantly when we post a new video on YouTube. And of course, to be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, to be part of the Dreamboat contest and Coastal Kayak Clash. Check out this video description on YouTube for all the related links and specific reports. Please support our correspondents by visiting their social media pages and websites. See you right here next week at thefisherman.com.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.